Hey, what's going on? New information has come out in the Shanquella Robinson case. We are going to talk about the FBI, what's going on with the database, extradition, and also what investigative reporters on the ground are actually saying and the new things that have been uncovered. Also, you guys, part 3 and 4 of my explosive interview is going to be out. It's dropping this weekend. So let's get into, first of all, I'll make it really quick just to catch everybody up. What we know for a fact, since everybody want to be like, but the facts are for credibility, but no, let me tell y'all something. And yes, I had to hit you with the claps. What do we know first certain from verified sources? Let me walk you through real quick, and then we're going to talk about what sources on the ground are saying. One, verifiable fact. The attorney general of Cabo6, Los Cabos, right? Cabos resort area, as we know in America, has said that they have issued an arrest warrant. They have filed the paperwork with Interpol, which means that red file. And of course, they are going to extradite whoever's name is on that arrest warrant. Hold on, I'm going someplace, okay? Don't add things, just listen, right? Because I want you guys to get into my mind and see how I'm processing everything. 2, the FBI has said that they have opened an investigation into the death of Shanquella Robinson, and it is ongoing, okay? Those are the only statements that those 2 law enforcement agencies has said. One, why has the FBI said so little? Well, because FBI even says on their own site, they do not discuss any details about ongoing investigations with members of the public. Hate to break it to you, but anyone that is not on the investigation team and is not directly working with that case is considered a member of the public. Reporters and anybody else, they will never give information, right? They will never give information. All they will say is, we are in an ongoing case. 2, legislation was passed years back in Mexico that any law enforcement, any investigative body, attorney are not allowed to speak out publicly on ongoing cases. Why is that? Well, we can probably guess, right? Let's just say it's something with the cartel and they're like, oh, we're investigating this, or we've made new things, or, oh, this and that. They can literally go right to them boys' house, snatch them up. Maybe their witnesses will go missing. Maybe they'll be being able to intimidate them. Maybe it will get worse. Again, it is a different culture, right? They do things differently. That doesn't mean they do things wrong. They just do things differently. Now, let's add some meat to those bones, because that's what the thing. But however, we know also through mainstream media reports, let's get into it, that there was a police report, right? We know through mainstream report there was a police report. We know there was a doctor. We know that the police report and the autopsy don't link up. How do we know that? Well, let's get into those mainstream reports, shall we? Let's put them up on the Summer Jam screen since y'all like receipts, okay? Timestamps below if y'all want to skip to the good, but hear me out because it's going to be good. Let's get into this. We have the Daily Beast. If you don't know what the Daily Beast is, they are monsters of investigative reporting. They have been around forever, and they are not to be played with. Baby, when the Daily Beast gets in your business, you don't want anything out. The Daily Beast reported, police report shows American woman is alive when medical help arrived in Mexico. In this article, they cite the Charlotte Observer. They even put a link to the Charlotte Observer article. Charlotte Observer, the doctor tried to revive Shanquella Robinson before her death. Police report excerpt shows. But the interesting is the Charlotte Observer cites their source, which is the Metropolis. It is the biggest newspaper in the Baja California Sur area, and it covers all of Los Cabos. It doesn't just cover, hold on, we're going to get into the other mainstream media. It doesn't just cover Shanquella Robinson's case. This newspaper has been around for a while. They have won awards. And if you look at their website, they cover corruption in the local government. They cover bribes. Go through their investigative. They cover local stuff too, definitely. But go to their investigative reporting section, which they have on awards for. There are 8-9 pages. Each page has 6, 7, 8 cases, all local, but all deep. But there's more, right? We also have The Independent. Mysterious death of sickening viral video on an autopsy that doesn't add up. The Independent cites the Metropolis. We have the New York Post citing the Metropolis. We have the Daily Mail. We even have Time Magazine citing Metropolis, ABC News. And guess what? ABC News is citing the Metropolis. Y'all pause, because before we get to the new evidence that the investigative reporter is sharing with us, I just want to say this. I really honestly feel like some of y'all have lost the plot for real. Y'all talk about sources and credibility. Some of y'all have lost the plot. Could we all just take, because I want you guys come into my mind, into the solitary mind of a madman, right? Because I want you to see how my logic goes and why I think this information is important to share. You guys, let's take a step back. Let's remind everyone, where did the crime occur? I'm being serious. Where was the scene of the crime? Okay. The scene of the crime was in Mexico. Okay. Los Cabos to be exact, not North Carolina, right? Not DC. It was in Mexico. Why is that important? Because listen, anything that happened after the Cabo6 returned to North Carolina or before they left, of course, I trust the local reporting in North Carolina. Why? Because you guys know the culture, you know the people, you know the ins and outs. There's nuances that a local reporter anywhere can tell you that you have to live there to know. For instance, a New Yorker that is reporting on what's going down in North Carolina, this and that, of course, you might know some stuff. But if there's actually somebody on the ground in North Carolina, you have access to the family, you have access to the friends, you can do investigation, you can get people talking. I will always put more credibility in local reporting, but let's follow this, right? Because where did the crime occur? Mexico. The death occurred in Mexico. The police are in Mexico. The doctor that lied on the police report is in Mexico. The police report is in Mexico. The doctor that performed the autopsy is in Mexico. The maids are in Mexico. The gardeners are in Mexico. The people that clean the pool are in Mexico. But what's more, right? There are local customs and culture in Mexico, nuances, the way things go, that only someone that is from there, I think, could be the best example to not only know it, but also navigate it. Just hear me out, right? Think about it. We just found out that in America, if there's a dead body, whether it's a murder or an accident, the detectives are on the scene asking you questions right there. We literally just found out that in Mexico, right? In Mexico, if there is a death and it does not look like an out and out murder, the people, the first responders on the scene take notes, give it to someone, they review it, and then they decide whether they decide whether they're even going to question people. Again, it's little nuances like that that is so important, why local reporting is important, right? So I will always give more weight and credibility, right, to the reports that are actually at the scene, that can actually talk to the people that understand how things work. Think about it. You know the culture, the local authorities. You know the culture, the police force. The history and context that local reporters are able to understand, navigate, and give to us are amazing. All right? Literally, like, you guys. But let me just keep going because I'm going somewhere. So local reporting in any case will always, to me, get a little bit more credibility than things that have been reported afar. Like I said, something happens in North Carolina, people are in, yes, let me hear it. But for what happened in Mexico, I give a little more credibility for people that have boots on the ground. And that local newspaper in Mexico, right, is the Metroplex. The Metroplex is not some rinky-dink thing that just got thrown up. Okay, take it how you want. It is the biggest newspaper in that area. It has broken hundreds of stories. Go to their website. I don't know who said they've been taking their stories down. All their stories are up, including the Shanquella story. Go to yourself and check it, right? So one thing about the truth, it's true whether you believe it or not. Okay. So the Metroplex is the biggest, and in my, because it is big, they know, they are investigators, they've gotten awards. I give it a little more weight. So when all these reports from the Metroplex came back, you want to know what my sources are? I read the local paper, which is the first thing for investigative reporting. And when all these reports came back, yes, right? I believe the local reporting. And so did CNN, so did ABC, so did Yahoo News, so did the Daily Beast. Okay? The local newspaper broke several things on this case. Like I said, they broke the police report. It broke the doctor. It broke the corruption thing between the police and doctor, everybody. They broke that. Okay? And that is why I reached out to the reporter who works for the biggest newspaper in the area, the person that uncovered the police report, right? Uncovered that the doctor was lying, uncovered that there was a discrepancy between the autopsy and the police report. Okay. So when mainstream media confirmed some of the reporting that was coming out of the local paper, I reached out to the local paper. I reached out to the reporter that gave it. And he agreed to share what he knew and what he heard from his sources in the local police department and what they know and what they've been saying and what they believe. And most importantly, unlike the US, right? But you know, let me just finish my point. It boggles my mind. Why wouldn't anybody want to speak to the person that uncovered the police report, that was buried, that showed the lies on the death certificate, right? That blew the lid off this case. What? Like, you guys, I have to ask you, what do we gain from being blind to information? Who does that serve? What does that serve? You stick your head in the sand. What is the point of that? What is the point? I reached out to the reporter that broke the story and I interviewed him. I mean, guys, listen, I am not blind. I hear, I read. You know, my nosy self is always reading. I am seeing the same reports you are. We are all seeing, but I have to ask you, what does being blind to information serve? Especially when it's been proven through the media, through blogs, through YouTube, the police report, the doctor, that clearly that paper, right, that has been around for like how long, has sources, and those sources are telling them things. But again, I go back to my point. Why wouldn't you want to hear more information from a source that everybody has established actually has inside sources and looks to be a little credible? I mean, really. Anyway, let's just get to what is new. Okay, so this is directly from the Metropolis MX. They're saying that there are only a few crimes that qualify for extradition: femicide, murder, and kidnapping. Okay. Again, they can add on other crimes such as leaving the body, tampering with evidence, lying to officials once they're in Mexico. But if it is only tampering with the body, if it is only lying to officials, that's not enough to get the rest of the Cabo6 back over. That's another reason why they do need déjeuner. They need déjeuner because the other crimes that the other ones might be guilty of, it's not enough to get extradition. It's not enough to get a warrant. Now, maybe they could be tried in America, but the easiest thing to do would be to get a warrant for déjeuner, and then we'll see how things go with the other ones. Let's go. All right. And especially they're thinking that maybe, and this is why I think that they said that Khalil, and they think it is déjeuner in the, Khalil and Winter, they think are in the video with her. Déjeuner will be crucial. I know that there are people saying that, like, no, her nails were French tip, they're Alyssa's nails. That may or may not be true, but this is their best guess, and they're going to need déjeuner on the ground to really talk about that and explain things. I mean, listen, the only thing that she could do that could maybe get everybody off the hook is just sit there and sit there in a Mexican jail. But like I'm telling y'all, is she really going to do that? But she might, because honestly, it looks like everybody is being tight-lipped. But speaking of that, right? They say 2 of the 6 statements to authorities that are included in the case, 2 out of 6 people made statements to the Mexican authority. Well, I don't want to say Mexican authorities. They said authorities. Could be the feds, could be Mexico, but 2 out of 6 people. I'm willing to bet, this is just speculation, it's Nasir and probably Alyssa, right? It's Nasir and probably Alyssa. However, if Alyssa was in the bedroom because she had like French tips, white nails too, then maybe it is Winter and Nasir. Do you see what I'm saying? Again, remember I said about vulnerable. How many people on the internet said it was Winter, because there's supposed to be this mysterious video of like her body slamming. Maybe the video exists. I don't know. This insider is saying, the reporter, the investigator is saying that there's not a video of body slamming. Again, this will all come out in the wash. I'm just letting you guys know what is said, because at the end of the day, I never have a problem with getting more information. I prefer more information because I know how to chew the meat and spit out the fat anyway, right? They're also saying they have audio evidence that was recorded during their travels to and from Mexico. Okay, if they have audio evidence, and somebody is definitely snitching, looks like 2 people are snitching if they have audio evidence. Again, that audio evidence might be what predicated the fight. We don't know. The whole point of the matter is they're going to need Dejanay to put the pieces together. Again, Dejanay is the linchpin. She is the most guilty, but they're hoping, right? If they put a little pressure on her, she'll dissolve like Stan, right? Again, Mexico is operating under, they're going on this why can't I talk? They're going through this thing to ensure everybody gets it, human rights are respected, okay? And also that rights are respected across the board, no matter how rich or poor you are. No information is going to be released about any defendants until they are brought before a judge in Mexico, okay? Which, when you think about it, is pretty fair. They think they're moving in silence. If they were to shout stuff out, it could completely ruin your reputation. Look at the whole Winter Donovan versus Alyssa. People used to think that Winter Donovan was the one body slamming, and now they're like, wait, Alyssa might be the culpable one, and Winter Donovan might have been chilling, or they all might have been in the room. That will come out. But do you see how this new law actually might be helpful, to say the least, about what could happen? Let's get into some more about what is being reported, okay, by the Metroplex. They're saying, no, they are saying that Shanquella's father actually gave an interview to prosecution. Okay, that interview and prosecution, they're using it as evidence, right? The evidence, what is the evidence? If you guys don't know about femicide in Mexico, there needs to be an R, there needs to be DV, or there has to be some relationship, either friendship, a colleague, something where you're trying to build and grow. There's some type of, basically in law, you call it a duty to care. A duty to care is, it's some type of obligation that creates a legal, it's some type of connection or relationship that creates a legal obligation, so that in a normal world, somebody could come and walk off a cliff and you could just be like, damn, right? However, if there is a duty of care, say you are a babysitter and you have a duty to care for that child, the child just can't walk off the cliff and you watch, because you have a duty to a certain extent, could protect them from reasonable harm. But a reasonable person under the circumstance. So if the baby is like being sucked into like a vortex and you're like, oh my God, I'll die too, then a reasonable person under the circumstances would or would not, depending on who you are, but a reasonable person under the circumstances would not risk their own, or would not be legally required to risk their own lives to save another. That wouldn't be reasonable. But if the baby is walking off a cliff and you can easily reach over and get them, and you are the babysitter, because you have a legal duty of care, you had a legal obligation. And because you violated that duty, now we can get you on a tort. And a tort, of course, is that you were responsible. And anyway, you get that, right? What else? So anyway, the father's testimony actually established that there was a friendship. If you guys don't know, in Mexico, they don't argue like Perry Mason and Matlock. Everything's written. So you take all the witnesses' statements, all the evidence, blah, 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 and people write it out and present it to the judge on both sides. And you even argue on paper. So it's not like a trial like we normally know, which is why we also need people on the inside that let us know what's actually going on. Because there's hardly any witnesses. There's not expected to be witnesses in this case, but we'll move forward, right? They are saying that Dejanay Jackson was arrested in Connecticut at a relative's home and remained in custody for up to 30 days while they decide whether or not to extradite that warrant. You guys, I actually have information on this. I'm going to drop it in the video tonight if I can. Definitely Sunday, okay? It's going to be a heavy upload day, but I actually have information on this that I will drop. They're saying that if convicted, Dejanay will serve 30 to 60 years if found guilty. He's saying Shanquella was moved from the second story, right, to the living room, to the, what do you call it? To the living room. What do you call it? Like the living room, like with a game room. You know, the big room in the house that has like games and a bunch of couches and people can luxuriate. So that room, she was moved from the second floor down. They're saying that she was, they put clothes on her, right? Which is tampering of evidence. And that she was already dead when the nurse came. But if she was already dead when the nurse came, that means that she was already transcended when Nasir was there too. Which Nasir, if this is true, he's moving more into a cover-up. He did say that there's a lot more things that he's going to actually reveal later. Again, he is claiming he's getting this from informants. So I'm sure whoever it is wants to protect their job, and there needs to be a delay on when they release information. You know, again, this is just more information. Please verify it. Please go see what you can do with it. But I wanted you to have the information. They're saying that the case is so complicated because there's so many lies, right? And the lies were noticed immediately. And when the autopsy came back, they went to actually look for the Cabo6, and the Cabo6 had moved to a hotel. So put it like this. They got there on Thursday, right? Friday is when they had all that stuff happen. Saturday is when they left to go back home. But as soon as they left the authorities, they immediately left the villa and they went to hotels, okay? They went to hotels and then they left on the 30th. Investigators, the insider people are saying, were expecting them to be there till the 31st, and they were not expecting them to vacate the villa. Now, I'll tell you one thing, when everybody was like, well, why did it take so long for the inspection to start? I will say this, and this is just to the thing. If somebody passed away, even by accident in the house, I wouldn't stay at that place. I would go to a hotel too. Maybe even though things looked weird, they were like, okay, when they saw them check out, let's not forget they got a refund. But once this is just me, but once they got that autopsy back, that's when they were like, hey, where'd you guys go? So again, them moving to hotels on its own, I wouldn't stay in the house either. However, the fact that they left no way for the police to get in touch with them. And like I said before, remember how 3 of them cut their phones off? We assume they cut their phones off because, you know, social media and people were, no. What if they cut their phones off immediately because they were trying to hide from the authorities? Anyway, guys, that's what's new. Listen, tomorrow I got something. I really do got something. It's going to be some stuff released. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will talk to you later. Also, you guys, please be respectful. You can challenge the idea. You can give your theories. You can even say that you're not convinced, but please be respectful, and please don't be derogatory, because just please. All right, you guys, let me know what you think in the comments, and